green, rich and earthly. That is Simlipal. The beautiful forests in Orissa are blessed with rich natural resources, fertile soils and a variety of flora and fauna. But there was something which was challenging and needed attention so that it could sustain its beauty. The people living there for years protected the areas, but were now themselves compelled to exploit its beauty for meeting their own livelihoods, as they were affected by the lack of policy, opportunities, and access to resources.
एमती बहुत जंगल को जाऊँ बहुत दुई मुठा गटे चाउल नहीं रोषे पाँच जन को छः जन आम परिवार अच्छू से खाई जंगल जाऊँ अधे घर रही था तापर जा पड़िया थला को 3टा 4टा बेले बाजी जाए से आसला बेलू आमर भी से तो निहती भूख लगो ना बहुत कष्ट आगे चढ़ुना.
This dichotomy led to the interventions by a local NGO, Sambandh, to address the issues of the tribal women and men living in the areas, with a focus for conservation and maintenance of the ecological belt. The NGO Sambandh, through its network, met up with the Center for Environment and Education to explore possibilities to address the issues. Given the awareness of GEF, UNDP, SGP, the NGO proposed a pilot initiative. All felt that the only way to bring back Simlipal its charm and natural bounty was to enhance the livelihoods of the poor tribes by involving them to be decision makers, masters of their own plans and concerns, by sharing costs, roles and responsibilities that protect and conserve the environment.
हम लोग कोशिश किए कि किस टाइम में किन लोगों ने प्रेशर ज़्यादा डालते हैं सिमलीपाल के ऊपर, तो उसी टाइम को हम लोग टारगेट किए और उसी ऑक्यूपेशन को हम लोग टारगेट किए.
The process began through the local participatory exercises, building rapport and trust between the stakeholders and putting the last first. The process led the locals to segment themselves into categories of farmers, landless, small and marginal. Of course, the women who shared more than half led in enhancing family incomes, agricultural outputs, and the traditional wisdom of the local traditional medical practitioners, that is the Vaidyas, formed themselves into small kinship-based flexible groups.
Similpal Biosphere Protection Committee, in collaboration with so many people's institutions, forest protection committees, the local folk healers association, local SHGs, local panchayats, they all have come together. That's the upscaling from this program that we have achieved.
Through the UNDP SGP, this process of development, 397 families of Simlipal in nearly 7 villages, who began their own small school of environment with the focus on bioconservation and alternative occupation. So, CEE and Sambandh facilitated the process with the local governments and institutions. All shared costs with the locals and joined in this effort to reduce the pressure on local biodiversity. Farmers who took the responsibility developed plant nurseries through 5 small institutions and started credit and saving groups to start their own grain banks for food security, which was very much within their systems of barter trade and livelihoods. These grain banks led to a re-emergence of the realities which they practiced in early days. Easy systems were built and norms agreed by the community to manage these grain banks. Nearly 276 households have benefited through this program, and the links to banks are leading for easy and cheap credit. A total of 1100 USD has been saved, and a loan of nearly 3000 USD has been accessed from the banks. Sambandh in a continuous manner, used a variety of methods, street plays, meetings and role plays, etc., to create awareness in the tribes, to prioritize their actions and contribute in every action. Yet again, the women's self-groups emerged first and took a lead in establishing systems to meet their needs. Such self-assertive ideas led the NGO to take forward establishing 3 water harvesting structures so that higher value crops of paddy could meet the food security needs of communities. And the extra incomes would take them out from the clutches of the moneylenders. The self-help groups formations further linked to banks with access of funds at low rates, and this influenced them to revive a 60-year-old grain bank. The others in the neighboring villages continued forming their own self-help groups. A quick and deeper sense of taking responsibilities led to greater local empowerment. Reflecting learnings through regular meetings just got more powerful, with economic security in place. Those remaining were the Vaidyas, who were in need of constant innovation to create new remedies. They avidly went around the forest, searching for various herbs for their own medicine. Through the UNDP project, Sambandh made sure that the local knowledge and skills had synergies with the outsiders' systems approach. Meetings were organized, sometimes even with the school children, and the Vaidyas became more interactive. So, our traditional doctors became more rooted and more efficient too. The medicines are now being processed to provide better incomes. Steps were taken to have small earthen, low-cost, easy-to-manage check dams, bunds, and gully plugs to harness the waters and soils at each other's fields. A total of 47 hectares of land have been brought under the cultivation, benefiting 169 families. Also, low-cost paddle-driven hand pumps were introduced in 12 wells within the project, only to become an instant success. Such measures restored the locals' beliefs for better livelihood, and they resorted to all possible measures to step up local biodiversity conservation, like cutting out the middleman and selling their own products themselves, only to benefit in terms of more returns. The ideas of vermiculture, composting, vegetable growing, and pisciculture were added to further boost the incomes. This has also had greater impacts to the food and nutrition of the locals, more so for the women and children. Each family has increased annual incomes varying from 410 to 1500 USD.
There are certain cultures which is also hampering our work. The dance system where the woman is getting victimized. There are also, that is very much prevalent in Santhal community, and it's their culture. It takes us time to convince them.
But the communities were now ready to address the issues of poverty and environment. They took up the challenge and strived hard not to borrow money from the moneylenders, thus saving on paying the high interest rates. Not able to handle the payback rates of 200 to 300%, the farmers rapidly increased their assertiveness and incomes, and a small effort was paying large dividends. Some, however, ran away into illegal felling of trees by selling the woodlots. But others stayed and reversed the situation by not getting involved into illegal timber cutting. The UNDP Small Grants Program, with all its joint efforts with Sambandh, has proved the fact that the marginalized can help themselves, with not only mere compassion, but by involving and empowering themselves through awareness and employment opportunities. Now, the people of Simlipal believe in a life of dignity and confidence. People have faith in themselves. More than 17,000 USD co-financing has been raised in the project through various measures. One feels that whose reality counts? This is just the beginning.